Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gaur Bani Pacharale, Namaste Sasanyavadi Praskati Desatari. Om Gyanatamilandasya Janandana Sarakaya, Chakshusumilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manastam Stapitam Jena Vitale, Sayam Bhakatamayam Bhakati Sadhanantikam. Vanchakalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo. What is your favorite pastime about Srila Prabhupada, or the favorite activity of Srila Prabhupada that you've heard about? And raise your hand when you have one in your mind. Did you raise your hand? Yes.
Very favorite pastime.
But a little louder, please.
One very favorite pastime of mine, Srila Prabhupada, is that at the age of 70 years he went to the West on the Janata.
Yes.
He didn't have to say to everyone.
Yes, quite amazing. Once when Prabhupada was on a morning walk at the Victoria Memorial in, anyone know what city the Victoria Memorial is in? Kolkata. Yes. So raise your hand if you've ever seen the Victoria Memorial. Yeah. So Prabhupada would often take morning walks there. So he was with disciples, and it's quite big. It's quite a tall, quite a huge building, ornate. And Prabhupada was talking about, he told the devotees that when he was young and they were building it, they were using bamboo scaffolding to build it. Do you know the story? Yeah. Please say what it is.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada was with devotees, and he was telling to devotees that when he was young, he used to climb to the Victoria Memorial and
On the scaffolding.
Yeah.
He would come to the top as they were constructing it.
yeah. So his devotee was saying, yeah, you are fearful. Fearless.
You must have been very brave, Prabhupada.
Yeah. So Prabhupada said, what do you mean? I am still fearless.
I'm still brave. Otherwise, I could not have come to your country alone. And he said that when he got off the boat, he did not know whether to go left or right. In other words, he had no idea. He didn't know anyone. And practically speaking, he had no money. He said, how many rupees did he have? 41 rupees. And he said, only a few hours spending in New York. But it wouldn't have been a few hours, actually. It was nothing, practically speaking. Yeah, so brave. Such a hero. And everyone reveres Prabhupada because he's that's one of the reasons, because he was such a hero. But he wasn't only a hero. What else was he? Raise your hand.
Pure devotee of God.
Yes, you didn't raise your hand, either of you. And there's no corners, all your corners are filled, and I can't even make you sit in the corner. You have tricked me. Who said compassionate? Yes. Now you have to please explain what was his compassion.
Prabhupada is very compassionate because at the age of 70 years old, he would have been very peaceful at Vrindavan, but seeing the situation of these souls who are struggling in this material world, he went all the way from India to the USA to just give this Krishna and the message of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Okay, let me ask you a tricky question.
Yes.
Because these are the kind of questions people always ask me. So, was he doing it on the order of his guru, or was he doing it out of his compassion? And can you be doing both at the same time?
50-50.
How did you calculate that?
So it is just guessed mathematical calculations, not the exact
Yes, but I want
calculations.
an answer.
Okay.
Imagine if I said that, and then if someone said, why did you say 50-50? Anyway, I was guessing.
Because
No, but before you answer, I will give you one hint. Think.
first he got the
No,
instruction.
first think. What do you really believe? What do you really think is the answer to this? But think first. Now, there's an old Chinese story. Did you ever hear of Confucius? Confuci in Chinese. Did you ever hear of that name? Yes. Some have heard. So he's a Chinese sage, but not exactly like a sadhu, like an Indian sadhu. So he was walking with one of his friends, not one of his friends, he was walking with a group of disciples. And one of the disciples said, a local duke, which means a local nobleman, aristocrat, he was so thoughtful that he would think twice before speaking. And Confucius said, once is sufficient. Okay, now you can answer the question. Now that I've embarrassed you. But it is a tendency, yes? But a deep question, we want to put in some thought. What do you really, that's another way to look at it. What do you really think is the answer to that?
The real the answer that I think is that first he got the instruction, so his whole life was centered around executing the instruction given by spiritual master.
Yes.
And along that, he also had a compassion.
Yes. How do you know?
He went to use.
Because he did it. And he kept on to the last moment of his life, practically speaking. He was taking care of his disciples. And there's always a mixture in that, because one reason is that his spiritual master, his order was compassionate. So his following it, because when you follow, okay children, a little bit total shanti. Because to follow an order, there are so many levels you can follow an order, just like there's so many levels you can chant Japa. There's so many levels that we can chant Japa on. I could be moving the beads and saying Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, and doing something completely different. And someone could say to me, Prabhu, you should be chanting your Japa. And you could say, I am chanting my Japa. So there's so many levels on which we can follow the order of our spiritual master or the order of Shastra. But to actually be successful, we have to follow it on a deeper level. Not just mechanically on the surface, but we have to understand the heart. That's, what do the devotees in the temple sing every morning? Sri Guru Charan Padma, Kevala Bhagati Sarma, Vandana Moy, Sakul Dana Diloye, Janme Jani, Prabhu se Divi Gyan, Prema Bhakti Jahoite, Vidikari Haratrita. Keep going. Oh, I didn't get the order right, maybe. Yeah, but sometimes there's a Chitite Korea Aikya. What does that mean in English?
To fix it completely.
To make your mind one, the same as his mind. So that will make us completely successful. What did I just say? You weren't there, were you? Do you remember what I said? Does anyone remember what I just said? The last thing I said? Do you remember? I don't even remember. No, I do. That will make our life successful. Because not someone like Prabhupada, his heart was full of compassion. But why was he compassionate? What does compassion mean? Who can tell me what compassion means? But raise your hand, and I will call on this group first. Yes, Prabhu.
Showing love.
Yes, but it's more than showing love. What else does compassion mean?
Showing love and being kind.
There's some kindness in there.
Too interested. Too interested in.
It's more showing. Who else can say what compassionate means? Yes? You see, this is actually discussed by Srila Jiva Goswami and Bhakti Sundara, that you know what pain is like, and you see a person in pain, and you feel the suffering of that person, and you want them not to suffer. So that is what compassion is. So he was compassionate means he saw that there was suffering. So he was experiencing one thing, and he saw people were experiencing another thing. He was experiencing, the ecstasies of love for Krishna. And he saw people following their material desires, following their material consciousness was suffering. So compassionately he wanted to help them with their suffering, just like a doctor who is very compassionate and doesn't like to see the suffering. Well, a human being is like that. That's why devotees, they cannot kill an animal. Because not only non-devotees, but it just causes so much pain to imagine what that animal must go through. I was once going from one city in California, which is in what country? What country is California? Do you know? Yes, United States. Very good. And in the middle of the desert, there was a slaughterhouse. And the cows, they were corralled. And this is why they had it in the middle of the desert, because they were crying and crying and crying. How could you tolerate that? How could you do that to them? Your heart has to be so hard. And this is one of the terrible things about like all what do you do if you're a parent and your child, and you want to do something, and your child wants some attention, especially a little child? What do the parents often do nowadays? They put a mobile phone in their hand, and they put a little game on, and the child goes. But then when the children, because there's a kind of pleasure in that. So the children really they grow up with mobile phones and playing games. And when they're older, what kind of games do people play on their mobile phone?
Outdoor. Outdoor.
I don't know. Do you mean outdoor games on their mobile phones? Virtual outdoors, or they play outside?
On mobile games. Shooting games.
Yes, exactly the point. fighting and shooting, and you see, and this one falls, and you kill that one, and you kill this one, and you kill this one. You're laughing now, but it's actually not funny at all, because this is how they train the army people. Just like when you're a doctor. Are there any doctors here? You know, what is it, MBBS? No, you're all suffering. Okay, one doctor. Did you have to operate on, first you have to practice on a non-living body, a cadaver. Because you can't go directly to cutting open a person for an operation. You have to develop a callousness, a hardness to be able to do it. So they practice on dead bodies, and they have dummies, you know, non-live human, like they practice on that. So do you know that in the army they have, before in the training to kill people, they have them practice these type of video games? Do you know that? So that they can just practice, you know, and so they don't think it's just a video game. Just kill people. Your heart has to become so hard. I mean, no compassion, so hard. So do you play these video games?
I don't play video games, sir.
If you can avoid doing this, you're very fortunate.
I don't play shooting. I don't play shooting.
Yeah.
I don't play games.
Okay. But if you can avoid these things, because they actually, it's scientifically proven, you know, the dopamine, and it's not very, actually, even mobile phone. Okay, raise your hand if you don't have your mobile phone with you. And me too. Only one person over 70 and everyone else under 16. But if we why do we carry our mobile phones with us? Well, just in case there's an emergency, I'll be able to. When I was growing up, this is you know, it's an unfortunate story in one sense, but this was in 1950 when I was in school in the 50s, and there was a lot of tension between the United States and Russia, and there was always fear of a nuclear war. It was very serious, there was so much tension in the atmosphere. And in the schools, they would have a drill meaning like a practice, where the principal would come on the loudspeaker and say, this is when, you know, like 8 years old or something, everyone take cover, which means practicing for, you don't know if it's a practice or not, but it always was a practice. So, and then what you would do is get under your desk. So just imagine a nuclear bomb falling under your school and you're under your desk. That's really going to give you shelter, isn't it? I mean, it's funny on one level, but it's so sad growing up in this way. So in the same way, we look for shelter, and we don't feel comfortable if we don't have our phones with us. Because just in case, you know, a nuclear bomb falls on my head, what will I do if I don't have my phone with me? It's the same type of a thing. And this is to some degree the subject of the whole Krishna consciousness movement, and it's the subject of the next seminar, and it's the subject of chanting Japa, is learning the art of taking shelter of Krishna. Yeah, taking shelter of Krishna. And Sukhi Dukhi Bolo Nako Hari Nam Ko. Yeah, say it properly, please.
Sada Hari Bole Dako.
Sada Hari Bolo Dako. Calling out Dako. So whether you're happy or unhappy, call out to Krishna. Sukhi Dukhi Bolo Nako Vadane Hari Nam Koro. That's actually. And this is what we want to learn how to do, to chant in the mood of calling out to Krishna. that I need your shelter. I need your shelter. Why do I need your shelter, Krishna? Well, with one level is to say that the material world is such a dangerous place, and one day I'm going to Khatam ho gaya. Or, there's so many reasons we could say. But the real reason is because we are part of Krishna, we are Krishnas. And as tiny souls, we always need a shelter. So either we get sheltered by the material energy, where it's a false shelter. It doesn't really give us shelter, but it distracts us from what is really happening around us, that we're getting older day by day within the body. So the material energy just distracts us from this very, very sobering point. And we always are thinking that today was okay, tomorrow, let's just see how it is, but tomorrow will be more or less like today. And then we go on like that. Tomorrow will be just more or less like today. And we don't know even, we don't notice that we're aging, we don't notice that we're changing our body from boyhood to youth to old age. And then one day we find out that tomorrow isn't at all going to be like today. Time is over in this body. And it's so important. And it's obviously, this is so much of our preaching is simply on this point in general, to use your life responsibly. One time Prabhupada was walking on the beach in Los Angeles, or maybe it was in Bombay, and he saw the people doing this and doing that and doing this and doing that and playing. What do they play on the beach?
Surfing.
Surfing, selfies, badminton, so many games, swimming, sandcastle making, so many things. And Prabhupada said that we are trying to tell people to not waste time, and the whole world is trying to encourage people to waste time, practically speaking. And I don't know if they use the same term, but there's a Bombay term, they say, just time pass. Do they say that here too? Just time pass. Means just wasting time, just using time. So we want to learn how to take shelter of Krishna. So when we chant Japa, we try to listen, and sometimes we may feel very humble, and we try to pray to Krishna to accept our service, and sometimes we pray to Krishna, I need your shelter. I am yours. Please give me shelter. Because actually the material world is a very dangerous place. What's the Sanskrit verse? You know the beginning of that? Do you know that Prabhupada was, in 1967, he had a heart attack. This was after the 2, when he was on the Jaladuta. And he was in the hospital, and the devotees came. And the devotees asked him, you say surrender to Krishna. But what does it mean to surrender to Krishna? And Prabhupada taught him that song, that verse of the song, and he sang it. Samasritam e parabhava plavam mahatpadam punyaya so morari bhavam buddhir vatsavadam param padam yad vipadam natisham. It means that this world is vipadam. It's an ocean of difficulties. I'm sorry for He just had a hard day's work. I'm giving you all this trouble and telling you how bad the world is and everything like that. I'm sorry. We should make it a little lighter and happy stories. And later we'll make it very happy. But we're just trying to prepare the mind for serious chanting of Japa. So Prabhupada said, surrender means to take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. And in the second chapter of the 10th canto, there are verses that talk about taking shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, and they are like a boat that will take us across the ocean of material difficulty. They're like a boat. And that boat is actually hearing about Krishna. They're becoming absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, knowing Krishna is our master and our Lord, and we are his servants, and trying our best to serve. So at the end, Prabhupada asked, after saying the verse and explaining the translation, he said, now do you understand what surrender means? So it takes even more thought. And one time during that same, when Prabhupada was in the hospital in New York, the devotees were around him, and suddenly he sat up and said, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And I think it was Brahmananda who asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada, what happened? Why did you do that? And Prabhupada said, oh, I thought I was going to die. And what our consciousness, Antena Rayana Smriti, what our consciousness is absorbed in at the time, at that time is so important. It will determine our next life. If you're thinking of your pet goldfish, do you have a pet goldfish? Do you have a pet horse? Do you have a pet tiger in your house? Well, that's good. Okay, so now please take out your beads and prepare your mind to hear Krishna's holy names. What was the point that we were talking about right in the beginning in our conversation?
Compassion. Favorite pastime of Srila Prabhupada.
Yes, but what was the point? Do you remember? So about following the instructions means there's different levels you can follow the instructions. But really you want to follow on the mind and heart level to, what is that sweet sound coming from the back? Oh, and look at his t-shirt. Oh, that's one of the best t-shirts I've seen. Could you please? Uto. I want to see your t-shirt. Could you stand up and show us your t-shirt? No, I made him shine now. Father, can you say what his t-shirt says? Okay. I thought it said Japa. And there he was chanting the sweetest Japa. Okay. Sorry for disturbing your chanting. How old are you?
3 years.
Can you imagine what he might have been 6 years ago? Dariwala. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Okay. So please remember that this is a rare time where we will sit together and chant Krishna's name. Do you feel determined today? Good. Okay. Yesterday you were less determined, but I thought that was okay because you were so determined the day before, so it balanced out. You're determined today? I was going to tell you that sometimes don't struggle so hard. If you need to walk around or play a little bit, it's okay. But today you look very determined. When you are ready, all of you determined souls, please try your best and chant Krishna's names. Hare Krishna. Prepare your mind. Remember that you have nothing else to do now. You have nothing else to do now. Be determined about this and try your best to be with Krishna in the form of his holy names. Try your best. Understood.